All right, got one more bolt here to get the skid out. This front one's a 19. There's my file. Oh, this side is different than the other side. So, 9/16. This one's gonna break too, I think. I don't like the feel of that. Not at all. Oh yeah. I'm either twisting the bolt, it's loosening up. I'm not sure which. I don't know. It did come out. Look at that. Here's our old skid. Wowzers. Rear bars aren't too bad on them. The high fax is cracking, but there's some life left, surprisingly. Shock is shot, of course. Bump stops are still pliable. Interesting. I'll show you this side here. Oh, this thing weighs a ton. This side. Bolt snapped in there. But anywho, there it is. It's out of there. That's awesome. Out with the old. Here's down in here, take a look. There's our old track. Tunnel there, pretty good shape. A little rusty right there. But not terrible. All right, now we gotta get the drive shaft out of there. We can pull the rest of this out. Okay, so it's been a few days. You can see this has become a shelf for storing things. Anyway, we got the skid out last time I was working on this. Now we need to get that drive axle out of there and the cogs so we can get the belt off and out. We can inspect and see how those drive cogs look and if we're going to be able to use them or not. So to do that, we're going to have to, this is your speedometer cable going into the bearing housing for the lower drive shaft. Here's your upper drive shaft. So I'm gonna pull these 3 bolts, it looks like, out, and let's see if we can get that out. All right, well, I got that off there, and it's not looking great. In fact, it doesn't look good at all. A lot of rust. I have a feeling we'll be ordering some bearings for this. Okay, now I gotta do the same thing on the drives, or the other side here. Pull off this assembly again, and then there should be 3 bolts behind there. Same thing, and then we should be able to get under here and drop that shaft out of there. All right, well, there's the chain. Got that off. Now we've got, looks like 3 bolts again. You can see the bearing back there. We'll pull this off. I'm hoping then that axle will be loose. Okay, got the carrier off, or the plate for that. It's pretty filthy. Now I'm gonna get a rubber mallet. I'm just gonna knock on the end here, if I can get in here, and see if I can loosen this drive shaft up. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll try the other side a minute. ones. Yes. Got it. Woo. It doesn't look too bad. There it is. Actually, it looks pretty good, except for this bearing. So we're going to want to measure the distance on these and compare them to the other one we're replacing and seeing if they're the same or if the tracks are going to work. But got that out so we can pull our track out. There it is. We got it. Not too shabby. All right, let's look over here. There's our bearing. Goes like this. Pretty dirty. We'll clean it up and see. It might be okay, but I think I'll just buy a set now that I got it out. We'll get all this cleaned up. It's pretty filthy. Check out the bearing, maybe save it as a spare. Order a new set for the bottom down here. I gotta measure them. Okay, here we are underneath. The other side. All in all, there's some rust there. We'll spritz that up, wire wheel it, but the rest of this, pretty clean. You know, not too shabby at all. These runners seem fine. You know, so I'll clean all this up under here, get some new bearings in. Once we figure out our drive shaft and the other, we gotta get the other drive shaft out, so. Okay, so I pulled the chain case cover off the donor sled and it's exactly the same. And look at this. We even got a good, fresh gasket we can use. So that's fantastic. Also, the chain I pulled and the gears, maybe we'll use these. These are also in fantastic shape, good to know. Here's the skid, we got that out. I didn't record it because it's no different than pulling this one out, 4 bolts. Let's get a good look at it here. This idler wheel is shot. You can see the bearing, it fell right off. This one also shot. And interesting enough, I don't know if this has been gone through at some point, but you can see overspray from these springs on both of these wheels on the inside. So this was sprayed while these wheels were on this skid. I found that interesting. This all looks pretty good. Looks like we might have a crack right here. You can see it. So we're gonna have to address that. Clean that all up and we'll try to weld that back up. But the rest of it, yeah, I think it's in pretty good shape. So we're gonna need to get some bearings, some new idler wheels, clean this whole thing up, go through it, degrease it, and then grease it with any zerts that we have, and should be a good skid. Here's a look at the other side. These don't seem too bad. A little bit of damage here on this one. These wheels seem fine, they roll good. Same with the rear ones. They're not all cracked up. So I think these ones are feeling shot. So probably these and these for sure. We're gonna have to get the shock off there and see if that's any good. I won't know until I pull it apart. And this one to see if you could see. Yeah, I can see the crack right there. So we're gonna have to get in there and do something with that. But nothing that we can't take care of, I don't think. I think this will be a good skid once we get her cleaned up, welded and repaired, and some new bushings and bearings in it. Okay, I think what we should do next is let's get this skid over to the local spray wash, coin op wash, and get this grease, power wash this thing off. it's just a little too cold for me to use my own power washer here, and I don't want to have something freeze up. So let me go get this sprayed a minute. Alright, now that we got her halfway decent, try to finish pulling the rest of these bogey wheels off and assessing. This one's stuck. Yeah, that bearing's shot, but I can pull it now. All right, I'm gonna throw all these parts in a box, go ahead and order up some new bearings and one new wheel for the one that we cut in half to get off. That's garbage. We'll get a new wheel up here, both of these new bearings. This wheel seems fine. I gotta get the ring out of it yet. And then the two bearings at the bottom down here we're gonna do. These ones seem fine. I'm not gonna touch these, they're okay. Next, I think the best thing to do here while we're waiting for the bearings to show up, let's pull the shock absorber off here and try to get these springs off so we can get the tension off our bottom brace here, our bottom axle, so we can repair that crack. About 9/16. Rusted on there pretty good. Little sleeve in there. So I don't lose it. if that's ever come off. And again, I'm just gonna slide this right back through there so I don't forget how that goes together. Not too shabby. Okay. Huh. Not sure if that's something somebody added on there. Not sure what's going on there. Okay, now we got the pressure off this axle. And I think I can weld it just in its place here. I'm just gonna clean this all up with the wire wheel really good and zap it. I have this axle going through there, so I know, you know, it's in there and it will move and it's in the proper position. I'm just gonna leave that in there and just we'll tack it and then we'll stitch it up. That's my plan. I don't know if that is the best. I mean, obviously it was running like this, which isn't great. So it's gotta be better than it is now, you know? Okay. All right, let me grab the welder a minute. All right, see if we can tack this up. By the way, I changed my jacket. Never wear one of those puff jackets when you're around flames. Bad things happen. All right, it's not the prettiest thing, but it's better than it was. It'll hold. Doesn't have to be the best weld as long as it works, right? We could grind it down a little bit, but where it's at, I think I'm just gonna spritz it a little bit with Rebuild Black, and nobody will know the difference. All right, show you what I got there. There's my bead. It's an awfully big bead, but I wanted to be extra careful with it and make sure I got it good. It seems that I did, so. Let's just double check and make sure we still have movement, and we do. All right, here's that shock we pulled. It probably would work. Definitely working, but it's a little crunchy, you know? You can hear it crunching. There's a part number on it. I'm gonna go look them up. If they're cheap enough, I'm just gonna replace it while I'm in here. We're doing the bearings and everything else. Might as well. All right, as we're letting this cool before we paint it, I'm just gonna wire wheel it one more time. I don't wanna grind it. I don't wanna weaken the welds at all. But this will help clean it up for that paint to adhere. That's good enough. Let's spray it. All right. Rebuilding. Sure. Looks good. What crack? Suppose we might as well rebuild all of it. Springs. New springs. New bump stops. New axle. Another new spring. Can't just do one. Okay, we got her all fixed up. She's drying. Sprayed everything down just to help slow down on that rust. Now we just need our bearings and our new wheel. Probably clean these up too. They're a little rusty. Maybe I'll pop these off and spray those as well, but that's easy. Not sure what to do here. I do need to check the zerts. I need to see if they take grease or not. I would like to try to find the green paint. Would be nice to rebuild that, but I'll have to see. If anybody knows a close Rust-Oleum or some other, brand paint that's close to the Arctic Cat lime green. Maybe it's Poulon. I don't know. Whatever it is, let me know. We are back inside, and we are going to try to change out and clean some of these bearings. She's probably gonna fight us. Careful, you don't want to hit you in the eye. Safety squints. Some pliers on it. There it goes. Pretty rusty. Pretty rough. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. I'm gonna try to pound this out. Just because I can. There it goes. There's our bearing, or what's left of it. Nothing. You can see just how bad that is. New bearing in there. All right, I'm gonna throw the snap ring back in there. See what that looks like. Tighten that. Seems fine. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like that. Here's our next one. I'm gonna keep working on these, and when I'm done, you can see how bad that wheel is. I'll be back with you. Bearing number 2. Absolutely toast. Won't even move. So, oh, it does move a little bit if I really pry on it. All right, let's throw a fresh one in. Always clean these out really good before you put your new bearing in. Nope. Good. How does it spin? Let's see. Oh yeah. All right. Let's do another one. One more. All right, now these wheels are pretty shot, so I'm just throwing some really cheap bearings in them, and not gonna do anything else. Eventually I'll need new wheels. Yes, I know. But until we get this Frankenstein sled on a trail and know that it's gonna work, I don't want to spend any extra on it, if you know what I mean. There it goes. Ooh. Well, this one at least spins a little bit. Let's throw in our new bearings. This is what I'm using. They're the cheapest ones I could find. Not really rated probably for cold, which is perfect for a snowmobile. But listen, this thing's not doing a bunch of miles, guys. It's just not, okay? Throw a snap ring back in there. There we go. Brand new. I always like to go around and just tap it in the best I can with a screwdriver just to make sure it's seated in there good. We're good. There you go. Brand new wheel. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to take a little steel wool and a Windex and clean off the shaft here. Just clean some of the grime off there. Both sides. Doesn't have to be a lot, just trying to get it presentable. All right, I think the next step's gonna be, I'm gonna slide the repaired skid underneath our sled here. I wanna check the width. It's gonna be really close to the same, but I might need to narrow it. So there's been questions and different answers online about this. We're gonna find out right now. I'm gonna slide it under there, lower this down, kind of mock it up where I think it's gonna go and see if it will fit underneath that tunnel. Let's do it. So, it does look like we need to trim a little bit. It is about right where it needs to be. If I go this way at all, that would fit. I think we're out on that side. Let's go over and look. Yep. Definitely overhanging. So I'm gonna make some measurements. We'll get the death wheel out and we'll narrow this a little bit so we can get it under here. No big deal. It's just how this stuff goes. All right, I made my measurements, took my measurements, made my marks. 7/16 of an inch off each side is what I measured. So that's what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna lop them off and then I'll get back to you. See if we still have enough thread. We do. Okay, good. All right, I got them all trimmed. You see there, pieces that came out. Yeah, we successfully narrowed it. Now, slide it back under there and do a test fit. Pretty close. Yep, we're in right there. And we're in over there. And plenty of room on the back. That's great. All right, this video is starting to get a little long. I apologize, but when you're working on stuff like this, obviously you run into issues and stuff takes longer than you expected. I wasn't sure how this was gonna go. I think we're gonna finish this one up here for the sake of the length of the video and do a part 2 on this. I'm gonna finish up by fixing that rust underneath the tunnel there. We'll wire wheel it and spritz it up. And then next time you see this will be part 2. I should be able to finish this up. We gotta get the rear mounts installed and measured. Obviously I need to get the drive shaft swapped out so we can get the shorter drive shaft, the original drive shaft with the newer cogs on it. So I'm gonna have to get that done, and then we'll get the skid under there with the track and hopefully have a running drivetrain at that point. Still a lot to do on this sled. I gotta modify the exhaust. We need to go through and do, which I've been putting off, I admit, aligning the clutches and finding a belt and all that. I'd also like to try to polish this as much as I can and see if we can bring some of that black back in the hood. I think that'd be fun to do too, but it's been terribly cold here in the Midwest. We have a big storm coming again today. I'm gonna try to get this paint on, and I have other projects. I've been taking my time up in the house, so that's why this is taking so long to put out there, but I hope to have the next video done here within the next 3 to 4 weeks so you guys can see how this all goes together. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you very much. Let's get some paint on this. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the OGC. This out of here. clean this up. Just try to slow down on that rust. Really done.